Welcome to a new episode of Depreciation Nation, and behind me you are going to see a 2018 Subaru Impreza Sport 2-liter. But before we get into the content, why don't you hit that subscribe button at the bottom of your screen so you don't miss some of the most eclectic car content on YouTube. We are happy to be once again filming with our friends at Luxury Motor Cars out of Cincinnati, Ohio, and for today's video they have been kind enough to loan us this Subaru behind me. Now, this is kind of an interesting car. Honestly, they asked me this morning what I wanted to film, and I selected this Subaru because this is the car that you buy when you don't want a Toyota Corolla, a Honda Civic, or a Hyundai Elantra. Car behind me is priced right under $22,000, has just over 34,000 miles on it, features a 2-liter 4-cylinder making 153 horsepower. Now, Subaru makes some really exciting cars, and this is definitely at the lower end of that excitement spectrum, but we still have a boxer 4-cylinder motor, and we have something that looks a little bit different than everything else on the road. Now, we will get more into some of the features when we take this car for a drive, but one of the things that I love about it is the simplicity. I love the fact that we still have buttons and knobs to access most of the features and functions on this car. The seats are a pretty cool blend of textiles, and it has an interior that is going to age very well. So coming to the back of the car, we actually have something that is kind of uncommon amongst the Civic, the Elantra, and the Corolla. That is, unless you get the Elantra GT, we have a hatch. We have some fold-down seats. We have some hard plastic and rubber-lined floors here to offer a fair amount of utility in a car that's somewhat alone in its class. So coming to the back of the car, as you can see, I have plenty of leg room. Now, I am just under 6 feet tall. I drove the car here. The front seat is set where I'm comfortable, and as you can see, the back seat is pretty roomy. That's enough of the walk around. Let's take it for a drive and see what it feels like. So here we are in the Subaru, and initial impressions are that it actually reminds me a lot of perhaps a cross between a Hyundai Elantra and a Toyota Corolla from the way that the interior feels. As with any car, we've got solid equipment. Anything that you get these days comes with touch screens and infotainment. We've got a nice infotainment or information display tucked deep into the dashboard right there. We've got a touch screen below that. And then, as anybody who watches the channel knows, we have buttons to control the ventilation system and windows and other components of that nature. And we know that I love buttons. It simplifies a lot of overcomplicated components in cars these days. Road noise is decent. Steering is relatively direct. I feel like I sit upright in this car, meaning that perhaps I sit higher in this car than I do some other vehicles that we have had on the channel. Of course, one of the major draws to this particular car is the fact that it is a Subaru, and the fact that it is a nice blend of economy and perhaps a look that is not a Hyundai, a Toyota, or a Honda Civic. Now, as previously mentioned, this particular car is fitted with the 2-liter, which makes 153 horsepower. Acceleration isn't spectacular, but it is decent. Doesn't feel strained, doesn't sound strained. This particular car has 34,000 miles on it, and what is interesting about these particular vehicles is that they are solidly priced right around $22,000. This car is priced just under $22,000. I did a quick Google search before we did this video, and it's priced pretty competitively. Now, when you look at your options around this price point, you can buy a Honda Civic, you can buy a Hyundai Elantra, you can buy a Toyota Corolla. But for somebody that is in that price point but doesn't necessarily want to blend into the crowd, this is a nice alternative to those previously mentioned vehicles. Now, we have a Hyundai Tucson. I have had several Hyundais over the last 10 to 12 years, and I'm a huge proponent for Hyundai. I kind of like that this car doesn't feel like a Hyundai. Now, I mentioned that it reminds me of a cross between an Elantra and a Corolla, but steering is heavy and feels really nice. Perhaps feels maybe a little bit more sporting than cars that I would consider in this segment. Car has plenty of room. Love the hatch, love the utility that comes with it. I mentioned it, but I really do like the seating position in this. Gauges are simple. They light up in red. It's all right. It's all right. And so that is the 2018 Subaru Impreza Sport 2.0. We want to thank Luxury Motor Cars for lending us this car for a video. I have gone on and on and on. If you are in the market for a car, do yourself a favor and check out their inventory. We've got a link to their inventory in the description below. If you are not in the mood for a Subaru, they've got just about anything under the sun. So do yourself a favor and give them a look.